Welcome to Hoovie's Garage, the dumbest automotive channel in all of YouTube, and it has been 2 weeks since I have made a YouTube video. Now, I staggered out my release a little bit, so there was one last week and one before that, but I've actually taken the last 2 weeks off to make a new car trek with Ed Bullion and Tavares. We were out in the St. Louis area this time at a castle. It was pretty crazy. And then some of you know that I flew from St. Louis to Scottsdale to film Barrett-Jackson. To give a little background on my BJ experience, I got a cold email, which seems to be how just about anything starts, asking if I would like to be a co-host on Barrett-Jackson. Now, Barrett-Jackson had moved their coverage from Motor Trend or Discovery Networks over to A&E History. And if you all remember, my old show used to air on FYI and the History Channel, so I already had somewhat of a relationship with those guys, and they asked me to come on board with the new Barrett-Jackson coverage. They were losing a couple of their co-hosts because they had obligations on Discovery. They were employees of Discovery. They couldn't come over to History. So they brought me on and two other people to be the little sideshows, the people out in the field talking about the cars. But I didn't just do that. I also went on the stage when they had hoopties that I knew a thing or two about, a lot of the imports and weird things, that kind of stuff that wasn't, you know, the normal muscle cars. You know what I mean? The normal muscle car stuff that those guys are basically walking encyclopedias or Googles with. I kind of knew the hoopties a lot better, so I would hop on the stage and join them for that, and it was quite a rush, that's for sure. Definitely a boot camp in talking and being able to speak, because unlike YouTube, if I mess up, I can just stop and start over, and there'll be a jump cut, and you all don't care. But when it's live television and I run out of things to say, I can't just pause and think of the next thing to say. I actually need to go and do it, otherwise there's completely dead air. So that was quite an adjustment, but I think I did pretty well. I didn't massively screw up, but maybe a few little weird things here and there. But I'm back. My brain has somewhat recovered. I've taken a day or two, and now I'm going to check on my hoopties. It has been a few weeks since I've seen all of my hoopties, and there's been a lot of progress up here at the Wizard shop, including with this Porsche. I'm actually a little miffed at the Wizard because there's been so much progress in this thing. I wanted to be more involved, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Let's start with the other hoopties and Wizard. Yes, we have one Porsche and another Porsche over here, one that I did a video on years ago, a friend of mine, Rob's. There's Wizard. What you doing here?
Oh, trying to fix the fuel leak on this thing.
Yes, my friend Rob is very neglectful of this car. We are all very ashamed of him because he has a turbo engine in it, basically from a 930 turbo, and he's let it sit for so long that the fuel line started leaking. He's neglected this car. He doesn't deserve it, does he?
No, he doesn't.
We're trying to shame him into actually taking care of this car because all it does is sit. He's owned it for like 20 years.
Yeah.
And it was really cool. Like 2 years ago when it was running and I was able to make a video on it, it is a really fun, amazing car, and he just shouldn't neglect it. But it's kind of the pot calling the kettle black here because there's a few cars that I've been neglecting. Not here, because there's lots of progress, yes?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
One I'm a little mad at you at, but we'll get to that in a little bit.
Oh, you're mad, okay.
This, you got some news, huh?
Yeah, I actually just paid for your fuel distributor from CIS Flowtech.
The ancient Bentley Turbo R that's so much Wizard dust on it now you can barely tell what color it is.
It is an archaeological artifact now.
We've been waiting for the fuel distributor rebuild for so long now to fix this little stumble that, well, it's become almost a decoration here, like the equivalent of a shop lawn ornament, I suppose. But once that's popped back on, you can see where the fuel lines all go to. Maybe.
We'll be back in business.
Maybe. At least it'll be running again. It always ran, it just had a light stumble.
Yep.
And Wizard, you have a Maserati here, Quattroporte?
Yes, a Q4.
Very nice. And wait, what are you doing?
Yes, I know. I'm letting one of my new guys learn on that.
Okay, it's an old one, so that's acceptable, right?
Yeah, it's okay.
They're still awful, yes?
These are the worst. The 3 Series are the worst.
And a 360.
Yes,
Very nice.
360.
What's going on here?
It has pre-cat failures, a meltdown.
Oh no, so like headers?
Yes, it's going to be getting some headers and some upgrades. Get this thing back on the road for him.
Okay, well, back to my hoopties there. That's not my Murcielago under the tarp. That's actually a gated manual one.
Mm-hmm.
Very jealous of that car. But yes, here's one. White 300 SC. How are we doing here?
Yeah, this one's done.
So it had a very hard start situation, like 30 to 45 seconds of cranking. It's kind of embarrassing.
Doesn't do that anymore.
Massive exhaust leak.
Yep, it doesn't have that anymore.
That's nice. Okay, there were plenty of other like fluid leaks, yes?
Mm-hmm. We got those addressed.
Okay. I don't remember what else, but it was quite a list.
Yes, it was quite a list. We have belts and AC. We'd recharge the AC. Yeah, it's quite a list of things to do on here, but we finally got through it. I'd like to take it out for a drive and do the final road test, but we've had nothing but ice and salt on the roads this week.
Well, it started to dry out, so maybe I'll take it for a spin, because the one big if is the transmission.
Yes.
You change the fluid and you messed with the vacuum system enough to where maybe it'd be saved, because this car almost killed itself because the transmission was going insane. It actually revved the engine past the red line, but maybe, fingers crossed, it may be sorted, because the CL500 has been done for a bit.
Yep.
And the van!
Yeah.
Oh, my conversion van, it's been so long. I've missed you. 1991 Chevy 20 van.
It's so beautiful.
So all the mechanicals are sorted out, right?
No more clattering when you start it. It's smooth. We actually reattached your center console. It was hanging by one screw.
Thank you.
But we do have some bad news on the television system you have in here.
My ancient TV.
Yes.
You must fix it.
We got the TV running.
What's going on? Let's see. Let's go inside. Got all my mood lights on, so what's up? You have some cassettes, I see. Oh, that was quite a movie phenomenon where the guy gets a brain tumor and becomes a genius, right?
Yeah.
So the TV?
Here's the power.
Okay, that's progress.
Yep. Takes a minute and it warms up. So that comes on now.
No.
It didn't do that before. And we need to turn on.
Okay.
And when we try to play a tape, that's what we get. What is that?
So it's a little snowy.
Something's really wrong with this VCR.
You think it's the VCR or the TV?
Well, I think it's the VCR.
I've known George Melly all my life.
Come back. Come back to me, Travolta.
Saw one?
What? I didn't say what I saw.
What did it look like?
What could have been?
So the audio's not bad.
Right.
That's me, Doc. Wait, George.
It has video issues.
What in the hell is going on?
Interesting.
What?
So that does seem like the VCR. I'm not a VCR repairman, but yeah, odd.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Okay. Well, do they even sell VCRs anymore? I guess I could go like to a thrift store, but do they even sell? They just throw them away the moment
Most
you get
people
them.
throw them in the trash. I don't know.
Huh.
I think I have one actually in my basement that's been sitting there for years. We can try that.
Okay. Well, it's essential. It's absolutely essential that that works.
Yeah, we definitely need to get it going.
It's very important when I take this thing to the first ever conversion van Concours that it works. So, yeah, let's do that. All right.
Okay.
Turn off all my mood lighting. And there's other hoopties to explore.
Yes.
A Bentley.
The Bentley Arnage.
This is Euro-Asian Bob's.
Yep.
Beautiful car.
Waiting on some parts on it.
So moving on to the country Squire, this looks more done. The coolant lines weren't on before, I guess.
Coolant is hooked up. Coolant is in it. The only
Yes.
thing I have left is to figure out the throttle linkage and the choke.
I see, with the dual carb setup. So you have two chokes to pull on now, huh?
Yep.
And then this is the old throttle linkage to the pedal,
Yep.
and that doesn't really reach.
And this is your choke here, so I need to find a way to hook this to both of these.
I bought this and it was totally stock. It's a 51 Ford Country Squire with the wood paneling, obviously, but we've done all the period hot rodding to it. This is the Edelbrock heads and the Offenhauser dual carb intake. Very sharp. It's very pretty. We're getting close, huh?
We're getting close. The dash is actually back in.
The dashboard is in. Okay.
The wipers work, and all the 12-volt conversion is almost done.
We're in the last of the wiring.
Yep.
Okay. Very good. And the CL65 is done too, huh?
Yes.
It had some leaks. It had motor mounts.
Transmission mount, flex disc.
I bought the CL65 for Car Trek and it actually did fantastic. It had some issues that were pre-existing, but really it didn't add any. Other than putting the wrap on and kind of ruining the paint when it got peeled off, but that's wrap life. So I was gonna have to paint the bumper anyway, but the hood, yeah, that's too bad. But I did not want to leave the wrap on there. This color is so beautiful. It just doesn't pop for thumbnails. So Freddie and Ed wanted me to wrap it in something, so we chose red. But now I need to decide, now that it's fixed, if I'm keeping it or not. Okay, so now back to the Spyder Wizard, which I'm a little mad at you.
Man.
Yes. So we are the first people ever, according to Beck, to do a Subaru conversion on one of their replicas, a Beck Spyder. Now, this is not a real Porsche Speedster, it's not even close. It is a replica made out of fiberglass. Now, the quality of these kits depends on who makes. Some of them are with VW floor pans, and they're just not all that good, but this one has its own tubular chassis made from scratch, and the quality on this thing is just absolutely insane. And recently, Beck started putting in Subaru engines instead of Volkswagen engines like every other ones that have. And that gives you a lot more power and modern practicality. But I wanted to be here to be the first people to put one of these in. And you've already put it in. It's already done.
Yeah, it's done. It's progress.
I wanted to help.
Well, you've been gone for 2 weeks. You need to choose be a TV superstar, or do you want to get your car done?
Well, I wanted to be involved, but it is cool that it's in.
Yes.
And it looks very natural, you know. You can see the Subaru stuff, the EJ25, but bolted to a Volkswagen transmission. But it looks very stock, I guess. I don't know what else to say, but it looks normal.
I think when it's all done, it'll look like it's supposed to be there almost. Sorry if that makes you mad.
I'm not really that mad. There's still wiring to do and a lot of things on the table. Where's the cooling on this thing? Because I see, obviously, it's not air-cooled like a Volkswagen.
And it has this is coolant hoses that actually go up to a radiator that's up front.
So it's hidden
right
up front, I see.
Yep.
Okay. So this is for the coolant temperature, and I remember us talking about not being used, right?
Right, well, one will be for the ECM, and we need to add one that goes to the gauge, so your gauge will work. That's not part of this engine. We have to add a sensor for that.
I see.
Right here.
Okay. God, this thing's so pretty. It's just so pretty. I can't get over how pretty this car is.
It really is. It's beautiful.
And on the table, you have the intake, which I guess we're using the stock intake. There's Japan.
Yep,
yeah,
intake. It doesn't have that power steering pump with the AC compressor because this car doesn't use them, but we will use the brackets to use the alternator, and we'll have one single small belt.
Oh, how much is an alternator?
Oh, probably 100, 150 bucks.
Maybe a new one, because this one's pretty ugly. The rest of the engine looks nice. I assume we can paint this bracket.
Yeah, we can paint that silver. We painted the engine.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, so that'll make, because this looks pretty dingy.
Yeah. So
what about this stuff? This is the fuel?
The fuel rail and fuel injectors. There's just a starter. It's actually like a Volkswagen starter, I think.
Oh. What do you got in there?
Gaskets and things. Gaskets and seals for the engine.
Well, I'm kind of curious how this thing will drive now with the engine in it, so maybe you can push me again like last time with the engine?
No, I don't think so.
It's going to have a different feel.
I think I'll politely decline that this time.
Well, we got to have some action in this video, so I guess, how about we take out the 300 SE and see if it's fixed? That transmission was pretty scary. Does that sound good?
Yes, let's do that. That sounds much better than
Wizard Power 2.0. All right, let's see how she cranks. Normally it takes 30 seconds.
Yeah, I remember it took a long time.
It's alive, yes.
Just boom, started.
And it's absolutely silent now, unlike before where it had a massive exhaust leak. It was almost funny how horrible it sounded, really.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, silent running now. We're very familiar with these cars.
Yeah.
We kind of met because of a car similar to this, I guess, well, diesels, but
240D, yeah.
Same generation of Mercedes that both of us kind of know like the back of our hands. And yeah, silent running, smooth. Not that fast, but who cares, right?
That's not the point of this car.
And I've already spent how much on this car?
It was at least $1,500 bucks.
At least $1,500.
Yeah.
It was cheap. It was $3,000, which is cheap for one of these. That's a nice rust-free Southern car with not too many miles, 142,000 miles, but kind of need to make a decision, I suppose, of which, like, I don't need all three of these Mercedes. No. I got kind of carried away with the Hoopty Rescue Mission on the vintage Mercedes, the CL65, this, and that 140 Coupe, the S500 Coupe. So one can stay, two need to go. Oh, I like this. This is just nostalgic.
It is. It's the old days, old luxury.
We took a road trip in one of these all the way to Florida and back before YouTube, before everything, right?
And before that car was a manual transmission.
Yep. My first YouTube video was with that car, the 300 SD, which is a diesel. And Wizard had manual swapped it for me. All right, kick down. Yeah. It just hit 40. All right. Second acceleration. Hey. Yeah. Okay. Downshift. Yes. little stiff, but at least it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. So I think that vacuum leak was just wreaking havoc everywhere. Yes?
Yeah, it's a lot better anyway.
The vacuum leaks on these cars, the vacuum system controls everything from the door locks to the transmission shifts to the way the engine runs. It's a very interconnected system. So when like a door lock fails on a diesel, it can stop the engine from shutting off.
Right.
In this car, something like that could actually make the whole thing run terribly.
Yep.
Which is a weird system, but that's what Mercedes did for a long time.
It is.
Seems like this one's good.
Yay! Very cool.
New car unveil in the next video. Blizzard's gonna make a lot of money on this one. I'm very excited about it. It's another Mercedes. What am I? I don't know one thing. Thank you for watching.